one podcast, mining the Magic the Gathering community for salt. This is the Howling Salt Mine.
It's the Howling Salt Mine. The Howling Salt Mine.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast, the podcast where we delve into those salty mines of the Magic the Gathering community, find the saltiest stories, the saltiest posts, those salty confessionals that we love, put them in our mine cart, and bring them right back up to you, our dear prospectors at home.
Hey, got there.
As always, I'm your host, Sam, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Tony, and our honored guest host, Nick. Say hey, guys.
What up, what up, what up?
What up? How's
What
it
up?
going?
Indeed. Before we get into it, we got to shout out our nice tier
Hey.
and our amazing patrons that are at this tier. Accidental TPK.
What?
Hephaestus Bolts.
What?
Yeah. Prime Speaker Florian. Yeah. And then, dude, I'm fucking convinced this person jumped to this tier just to make me say their fucking name. Yaft Judge.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yaft Judge. Thank you to everybody. Couple things to say right off the top. Mike's not here, and we sound different. So we're recording live. Live as in the three of us are alive, and we're all in the same
We're
room.
all staring at each other.
Yeah, we're looking
and
at each other
not over a
awkwardly.
webcam.
Yep,
It's
not
kind
over
of
webcam.
weird. Although, really, I'm looking deeply into Sam's eyes.
I'm off to the
because-
side looking at Sam and Tony,
Yeah,
just like
it's a lot of eye contact
looking
with
at
you and
longing
Tony.
at each other. It's really beautiful. It's a lot of love here.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a sweet little recording booth here. We're on day 4 of the convention.
But Sam, what convention is it?
This is the MTG Summit convention put on by Kingdoms TV. Those guys are awesome. They put on one hell of a convention. It's been super fucking fun.
Nice.
Yeah,
I concur.
Yeah, it's been a great time.
it has been cool.
But I'll say this isn't our convention wrap-up episode. No, dear listener, that will come later.
Nice.
We're just ripping a regular episode.
Just
live
ripping.
Yeah.
in this environment.
Straight
Just
ripping.
came off of a couple games.
Yep,
It
came
was
off
an
a couple rad
S-tier
games.
Salvalo win that
And,
you all want to know about.
and a
like,
triple S tier Marath win.
And don't forget about that Animar win yesterday.
Yeah,
That was pretty sick,
we've
too.
had some really good games this weekend.
Yeah.
for sure.
And actually, Mike, speaking of CDH, Mike, the reason he's not
yeah.
here is he is in the CDH tournament right now.
Yeah.
He
like
did
winning things.
Yeah, he's like doing pretty good. I think he was seeded like 7th or 9th or something in top 16 going into the last round, and he got a win. So he's definitely going into top 16. We don't know if he'll be able to go into Final Fours before we have to go to the
Yeah. We
fucking
don't know if he's going to
airport.
make it
Is
back
that
to
the case? I thought he was still in Swiss. Did he make it to top 16?
He's still in Swiss, but he was seeded. The pre-seed showed that he would probably get into
Oh, interesting.
the
Spicy.
top 16. So
You know more than I do. Then.
yeah, his points were good. I think he's had 2 wins,
I think it's
2 losses, 2 draws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Going
think
into
he-
the final
I
round
think he
of
just pumped it up to 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws.
Ooh, baby girl.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't know
but
either. Either way, he's doing
doing
decently well enough to be not here and
Yeah.
like going decently into the second day and
Yep.
doing okay.
There is a shot. There is a very real shot.
Yeah, there's a
And,
shot.
Like almost more likely than just real. But it's
Yeah.
interesting with these kinds of tournaments because you get a whole bunch of people that are usually in like a similar kind of boat where like if
Yeah.
they play their games, like they could make it in, depending upon how the brackets lie, because it was pretty tight this
Yeah.
morning when Mike was looking. Like losses from people in the top could bump them out, and like wins from people in the bottom could easily bump them up.
Yeah,
but a
it's-
lot of people tend to just be like, "Nah, I just won't play," because
Yeah.
they think they're out.
people have been
was me.
dropping from it. Yeah, Nick played in the tournament yesterday
Yeah.
on Animar, and you did 5 rounds? 4
I
rounds?
did 4 rounds. I went 0-3-1, so 1 draw, 3 losses.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was your first CDH
That
tournament
was my first
ever.
CDH tournament. I was happy with myself. Like I played cleanly, and like Animar was very close to popping off at
Yeah.
least 2 or 3 of the games. So like I'm happy with it. I mean, it was fun. I had fun.
You did have a situation where somebody dropped from the tournament and didn't like talk to the TO. So this is like a problem with these tournaments
Yeah.
is people need to queue up, ahead of time. Obviously, they got to get the pods going. So if someone drops, they need to talk to the TO and be like, "Hey, I'm dropping," and then they'll shuffle the pods, give people buys if they need to.
What
shit
does
like
TO
that.
stand for?
Tournament
organizer.
Gotcha. cool.
Two-
Everyone was saying that, and I was just like,
toot
yeah,
officer.
I did that thing where I'm just
Technical
like,
operative.
cool, I understand what you're saying, and I never really did. So I figured I'd ask here
Yeah.
for the people at home.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's really why. That's
Yeah.
really why.
Yeah.
But yeah, be polite.
but
Drop
yes.
from your tournament properly if you're not going
Yep.
to show up. Because like, especially with CDH, like not having that fourth player does matter because it's like another thing of interaction, another thing of like all this.
Oh my
stuff.
God,
game is
yeah,
totally
dude,
different.
Very
Exactly.
important.
Like you
And it,
said,
like,
that the
changes
person won
the-
that game with a naked Thassa's Oracle consultation, right?
Yeah.
Like no interaction. They just
Right.
like ripped it
Yep.
and won.
So-
Which does happen sometimes in the CDH, but it's like pretty rare. Usually people have gassed out. But in a 3-player game, it's like, oh, you guys don't have the counter spells? Well,
Yep.
get fucked.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't hold like it was a fun game.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
ill will, but like, be polite, drop out.
You know what?
appropriately.
People not showing up for their fucking events makes me
What?
salty.
Wow.
Got there. Hashtag
We
got there.
Got there.
Mike's not here, so it's not as smooth.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fine.
It is what it is.
I appreciate it, though. We try. I will say, like, we are recording in a pretty sick audio situation. Like, it's pretty dope. We
Yeah.
got, like it's all rigged up. The mics are right in our
I
faces.
feel professional.
I feel
Yeah.
professional. It's cool. I feel like a cool celebrity.
Yeah.
But I will say that, like, I have no idea what the quality of this episode's going to be. I'm going to do my best, folks. We're going to...
Well, hopefully it's not better than a regular episode.
I
also
do
true.
not think it is possible.
I don't think it will
because
be,
of the recording
isolation,
situations that
yeah.
we're typically in.
That's true.
We usually get that crispy audio. Crispy audio. But this will be, we're going to do what we can. So if you guys hate it, I don't know what to tell you.
Nice. Well, why don't you tell us what salt is?
Let's do it. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for commanding me to do that. Salt is frustration in the game, as we like to say. Salt is really an umbrella term. It's everything that can make you frustrated in a game. It's from the little grains to the full shakers. An example of a couple grains of salt might be just a weird vibe. Someone's a little tense at a table, Maybe you're playing an EDH game and someone's like, they don't want to do deals, and you're like, that's fine, but the energy's weird now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you
sure.
kind of came out with this thing. The game's still fine, but maybe you're not frustrated, but it's enough to just like feel off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I liked your new term there. Where you're saying it's an umbrella term.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I haven't heard you say that before. So
Under my
Unfortunately,
umbrella.
I think I've said that for like the last 7 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, that's not a new thing.
I feel like I don't remember that at all.
You just haven't been around because you've been on your fucking honeymoon.
Yeah, still
This is
coming off that
true.
honeymoon, dude.
That honeymoon high.
And the big shakers are, getting pub stomped, throwing your decks around, ripping cards in half, getting super, super salty, getting super mad. It's just how it is. It's how it be. So we're going to be talking about all of the forms of salt, from the
Sweet.
little grains to the full shakers. And we talk about it because it's really an educational podcast, and we want people to be aware of their salt. So in the future, you don't get salty yourself.
Future episodes of this might be on the Learning Channel.
Yeah, that would be crazy. I don't think we have like extreme diets or extreme jobs or extreme whatever to qualify to be
Yeah.
on the Learning Channel. Did you know that TLC actually they aren't the Learning Channel anymore?
They changed it
They
'cause they
dropped it
don't
because they
learn.
don't teach.
No one teaches
It's all
anything.
just like horrible. Did you know that?
I didn't know that that's what TLC stood for.
Yeah, dude. Because now it's
It
all
makes
just
so
like
much
super
sense.
trashy reality
Yeah.
shows where
Though honestly, we would fit.
yeah, we would. It would follow. It would have to be something about like
Yeah, it's just 3 unfunny guys reading Reddit posts. It's the name of the show.
the show. Oh man. Well, shall we get into it, guys? We got some salty stories queued up here.
Let's do it.
And these, as always, these salty stories come from our listeners out there, our prospectors out there. So,
Shout out to all the ones that we met in person too.
oh yeah, we met a
Yeah,
shit
for
ton.
sure.
It's been
Which is
a
fucking
vibe.
awesome.
And we've been playing a bunch of games with people. It's just been cool, guys. This is cool. You'll hear about it more.
Yep.
But sometimes we can't contain it. I will say, I don't have my beautiful setup, so I'm just ripping these from our email live. I haven't really screened them, so we're just gonna fucking do it
Ruh-roh.
live.
We'll do it live.
Everyone likes a good raw dog,
Exactly. So this first one comes to our buddy Mark through our Gmail.
Does it come to him or from him though?
Comes from him. Did I say to him?
You said to him.
Comes to us from our buddy Mark.
You said comes to him from our buddy Mark.
Oh shit. Well, hey guys, we're
Doing
doing
it live.
and this post is titled "Dealing with a Large Salt Deposit." And the story goes, "Good day, gentlemen. I have a friend in my weekly playgroup. We'll call him Kyle, who is always complaining whenever he is targeted or stopped from winning. Whenever I play with Kyle, he always politics the other 2 players to target me and saying, that I win more games, and then he proceeds to win. There was an instance where we were in a 4-man pod with some new players in our group. Kyle would have an aggressive comment to everything I said that entire night. In the last game for the night, I wanted to play a lower-powered deck, my Gisa Mono-Black Zombies, one last time before I disassembled the deck. The game was going fine. I was struggling to compete against an Infect deck, a mono-green deck, and Kyle's Grixis Artifacts deck. The Infect player board wipes and creates a 27/27 Infect Trampler.
Yikes.
Isn't that that's a new board wipe?
Probably
from
like the
new Phyrexia set, All Will Be One. It's it's like the old Phyrexia, that white one where it kills everything and makes a big token. But
Phyrexian
now it does
Rebirth?
It's like Phyrexian Rebirth. We won't have cards either. I mean, we'll bring them up on Scryfall when we have to. We're making it work, y'all. So the Infect player board wipes and creates a 27/27 Infect Trampler. I rebuild my board by making 3 2/2 zombie tokens and a Gravecrawler. Kyle, who is after me in rotation, proceeds to cast Blasphemous Act, rebuilds a decent board state for himself, and tells the Infect player to kill me because I am the biggest threat. I naturally call him out on his BS. This starts an argument where he gets heated and tries to defend his statement by saying my deck is the strongest in the pod, which I've never won a single game with that deck, so it's kind of crazy. The Infect player, who knows how to properly threat assess, proceeds to attack Kyle. Kyle cries about it and scoops. Of course, I end up losing that game, and after the match, while we were packing up, the Infect player asked me if Kyle was always like that, and sadly, I had to say yes.
Shame.
The worst part about this is that I was Kyle's ride home, and it was a very silent car ride. Oh my God, the salt, dude. I decided not to give Kyle rides after this incident.
Wow.
I explained to him why, and he went on a whole tantrum in the group chat villainizing me for saying that I don't want that toxic behavior around me anymore. I don't know, I think it's valid. As a group, we decided to give him time to readjust and rethink the situation. He ended up rejoining our group since, but there have been times where we caught him cheating, such as putting an extra card in his hand after tutoring, untapping tapped mana to cast a counter, cheating dice rolls, stacking his hand, and even grabbing a card from a completely different deck.
What?
All right,
Wow.
We're going to unpack that in a minute.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I have no idea what to do at this point. If we call him out on cheating, it will divide our play group, but I also don't want to have to shape things around him due to him reacting like a damn child. Side note, 2 weeks ago, Kyle brought a Yargle and Multani deck. He went into equipped Sword of Feast and Famine. I destroyed it. He attacked me anyways. I blocked the Yargle, killing it, and exile his commander. I had no way of winning, but I was going to be damn sure that he wouldn't win. Nice. A little spite play. A little sprinkle of spite at the end there. Yo, Kyle, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, man. You know what Op should do? Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah.
Drop it like it's hot.
Yeah, fucking drop
Like,
this, dude.
honestly, man, like, they had the talk.
Yeah.
They gave him a second chance.
Exactly.
And he was still a shithead.
You've done everything that you should have done and gone above and beyond. You gave him time to cool off. So, okay, let's talk about what I think is the most egregious thing here, which is the cheating. The fact that he's rejoined your group and you say there have been times where we caught him cheating, and you say, just to repeat it here, putting an extra card in your hand after tutoring, untapping tapped mana to cast a counter, cheating dice rolls, stacking the hand, and even grabbing a card from a completely different deck. That's at least 5 different instances of cheating.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. Like, some of these are pretty bad.
Right?
All
That's
of them
egregious.
are bad.
Yeah, but like, it's not even just
Taking
like
a card from another deck.
Yeah, right? Like, are they
that's
all sleeve the
extreme.
same?
The only way
Must
that's
be.
okay is if you're like in mono white and you pull like a deflecting swat or something.
Yeah.
Then I
Or
would
you're-
laugh.
yeah, it's
You
like
can
a
do it as a joke.
Okay,
Or
but
yeah,
it's
it's
not
like-
real.
You're like playing
Exactly.
like unstable or something like that, where it's
Yeah.
like part of the mechanics of like fucking around. But,
Yeah, it's got to be a bit at the very least.
that-
But
I
that's
think
at
that's-
least 5
Yeah,
instances.
that's the problem with that. Somebody who does it that much, they're not going to change.
Yeah.
They're going to keep doing that.
Also, this next comment about if you call him out on the cheating, it will divide the play group. Who's fucking taking Kyle's side in the play group? Who's like, he's cheating, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh man,
I don't. Like
that makes me like skin crawl a bit. It's like, are
Yeah.
you playing a game at that point? Are you just like playing fucking Calvin?
Yeah,
Ball?
Calvin Ball, dude. Like, just fucking making up the rules as you go.
Right. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know. That's like really egregious to me. I think, like you said, Nick, so eloquently, drop it like it's hot. Get
Yeah.
Kyle out of here. Like, Kyle is a hot piece of food you picked up accidentally, and you have to drop it quickly.
And don't do the inverse blow shit, because that never works. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, don't like hashafrashaing. You can go like,
I I feel like I don't love when the answer is like you just shouldn't play with this person anymore.
I know.
but it really is.
But
like,
they
there's
exhausted
so
the options,
much.
right?
Yeah, no,
Like-
for sure. Like I totally agree that in this scenario
Right.
that should be happening.
Because the first
Yeah.
step is always to talk with them, and they did that, and they like gave him the timeout, and then they came back and were worse, right? It sounds like the cheating started
worse.
after they came back.
Like if they weren't cheating before and then they come
It's like,
back and they're
clearly
like,
this person is
I
just
got a
like
new way to win.
right. They like have a grudge. They're
Yeah.
like, "Fuck you guys! I don't care what you say. I'm gonna win the fucking game," and that's
Yeah.
the only thing they care about. It's like,
Yeah,
fuck
that-
you, dude.
Like if you
Get
have
the fuck out
someone
here.
in your group that like doesn't give a shit about your play experience that hard, like, why are you playing with them, man? And also like that must make the friendship so tense. Like you were saying, when you drive home with the person and it's quiet and the salt is just like permeating it, like, and you can't break through that moment.
Yeah, once
I
it
don't know,
surpasses
man.
the boundary of
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
And not in like a meme way where you like have the funny grudge between two players, but in a like, no, I'm not speaking to you right now.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot.
Yeah. It's bad. So quick aside, one time when I was in Japan, just with like the hashafrashaing, got me thinking about
I was
this.
like, where is this going?
So my wife and I are in Japan in like late 2019. It was like a big trip we took right before COVID hit, which is pretty lucky. And, you know, we're walking around, and you guys ever have takoyaki?
No.
Yes.
So takoyaki, it's a fried octopus ball. They basically have this like, it's like a classic Japanese street food. They have this like special pan with like these little like half spheres, like these little divots, and they heat it up and they put this like basically like pancake batter,
batter,
almost,
yeah.
like a pancake batter. And they put it in and they throw it full of like chunked up octopus and, you know, a bunch of other like scallions and like tasty shit and throw it in there. And then they pour more batter on and they slowly rotate it. And so
okay.
it cooks and like comes up out of the shell, and you
I've
end up
seen
getting
it,
this
yeah,
sphere. And the inside is usually like pretty hot, like a little molten, and the batter's not fully cooked, so it's kind of got this like melty goo on the inside, and then like a crispy exterior. And then they hit it with like Kewpie mayo and like some, you know, tasty fish sauce and shit. So Caroline and I are walking around, and we've been dying to get like good takoyaki, and I think we're in like Harajuku. And we go past this vendor, and I'm like hungry, and we're like, let's get takoyaki from this guy, right? So we get it, and he makes it, and we're like, yo, this is so sick. We watch him make it fresh, and we get it, and we like take a step away, and we both put one in our mouth and just fucking go for it. And like when I tell you that, like my tongue had like 3rd-degree burns. It was like the heat was immediate to the point where we felt awkward being in eyesight of this dude and had to like sidle over to the side of like the thing and like spit it all out. And we like tried to eat some and ended up just pitching it, and I felt like so bad, but it was impossibly hot and our mouths were burnt, and then I just didn't want to eat because I couldn't taste anything. And it's just like, oh man. And you try to do like the hashafrasha, which people don't know what I mean. It's when you're like, you got the food in your mouth and you're inhaling and exhaling over it to cool it down. But you don't want to spit it out, but you keep it in your mouth.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work, man.
Oops.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah. And we still think about it. Like mistakes were horribly made that day. And like fucked up taste buds for a couple days.
Especially if you're like on a trip that's like a food trip.
yeah,
too.
where
like,
we just want
Right.
to eat like delicious
and
food.
now you can't taste anything that you're eating because you fucked up on one time.
How big were the balls? Were they? Was it?
They're pretty
were
big. They're like kind
Well,
of.
I've seen big ones,
Oh, I have too.
and I've fondled little ones, and I'm like, oh,
Sorry,
like,
that
which
sucks, dude.
Well,
version?
we did share a bed.
I hate
My
you.
tiny nuts.
Jesus Christ. Where's Mike when we need him?
Should we?
He's not here to
should
keep
we
us.
talk about the?
Wait. Tony was gonna say something.
No, yeah, I was just curious if it was like that. If they were like smaller and you got a hole in your mouth, or you bit into one. Because I
Yeah.
feel like it's almost worse when it's like
It was a little of both. I mean, I got a big mouth, as people could hear on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
As I know.
I popped a whole one, and Caroline did like half. But like when you bite into them, the molten center like
shoots into your
yeah,
mouth.
like blasts into your mouth. So it's just like here's like a little magma blast here, and you're like, oh fuck my mouth. So
Sam, I think you'd be used to that though.
Got there.
All right. Now let's get back on track.
Cut the straight grade right there. We're good.
It might stay in, man. I don't know how cuttable it is. We'll see.
see.
We'll see.
Well, getting back to the post, what do you think about the salt rating? On
Salt
this one?
rating? Whew. Dude, it's high, man. I mean, we didn't even really we really got hung up on the cheating. I think cheating is unforgivable. I think it's a full shaker plus the fact that it's a repeat, the fact that you feel like you can't talk to this person about it. And again, the playgroup divide thing, I really question that too. Like who are the people in the group? You know, maybe Kyle's got some homies in the group and doesn't want it to be awkward and they don't want to like lose touch with their friend. I get it. But at the same time, like if you're oblivious to the tension in the group and the cheating is piling that on, like, I don't know, man. Like, something has to change, you know? And to the point where you don't want to even have this person in your vehicle. You don't even want them to, like, come. And it sounds... Tony. we can't do it too much. It's a word. It means other things.
I mean, you gave back context. I thought that's what you meant.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, I mean, it's super high salt for me. We didn't even really talk about the beginning of this where, you know, the constant crying wolf of being like, this person's always in the lead. And like, we do some of that stuff like playfully, but it's in good fun. And, you know, people can usually see through it at the table too. It's more for like the bit than actually doing it.
But I think that just highlights how egregious the cheating is, right?
Yeah.
Like there are, on top of the cheating, there's all these other problems. Like, you just shouldn't play with this person.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you already were salty enough to write in the story and then it's like, hey, on top of that, this dude's also cheated at least 5 times. It's like, okay. Like, yeah. Like it also says cheating dice rolls. So probably happened multiple times. Anyhow, I mean, what do you guys think about the salt on this one? Obviously.
High. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I think there's a question of like, can you, even if you cut them from your group, do you still retain the friendship and do you want to?
I don't know, man.
And I don't know. I think to your point about the people who are probably defending him, it's probably something like that where they like are friends with him outside of the game and they want to like maintain that and not blow that up, which I get, but also like, don't fucking cheat. Don't be a dick. Just play the fucking game and have fun. Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, the cheating is just so bad.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's, like, you said it before, we keep saying it over and over, but it is unforgivable. It feels like...
I think so.
Because then it's also, like, what other aspects of, like, this is a fucking card game, right? We're playing a fucking card game right now. Like, what other aspects of our, like, life and relationship we have are you, like, doing that type of, like, mishanded thing? Like, it just makes me, like, feel... not good about you as a person.
Yeah. Also, like, the whole point of playing Magic is to use the rules of the game to win. And if you cheat, why are you even playing?
Right.
Like, do you love winning that much? I don't know, man. I really hate cheating. I think I said it before, and I'll say it again. I would rather lose every game of Magic for the rest of my life than cheat in a game of Magic.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty much with any game, I think I'd rather lose than cheat. Unless I'm doing like a sweet speed run and I'm cheating and doing that. Like that's good. You're supposed to. Yeah, you're supposed to do that shit.
You're trying to break it. The point of a speed run is to like break the game.
Yeah, no one's trying to speed run a Magic game and try to break it.
Yeah. Are there fair speed runs or they specifically do the
yes.
like
no glitches. Yeah. That's a huge thing because sometimes glitches break the game so hard where it's like not fun anymore, and so they start to like track them on cams.
The Ocarina of Time speedrun now is like a couple minutes or something, but it's like people just jumping back and forth, doing janky shit, getting into like weird parts of the game. And then just like
the map,
running
like
off
physically in the map,
and then all of a sudden the credits,
walls and shit.
The credits start rolling,
and
that is technically, and that is like the requirement, like start the game and then hit the credits. Like that's what like ends it,
and it's just like a variable,
like no one wants to watch
overload thing.
They're like
you just do a sequence of events, and it's like the game is like, I think they finished the game.
Yeah,
whatever. They're not supposed to be here.
Right, like manipulating the game memory.
We're done.
It's manipulating game memory. But there are like rules for glitches, like. Sometimes there are glitches or more exploits in the game that stay in glitchless runs. And the community, whenever those get discovered, they kind of come around and they're like, is this a true glitch? Or is this just an exploit like leveraging the existing game mechanics?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see some glitchy stuff in those types of runs. But yeah, love speedrunning.
Yeah. Either way, I'm over cheating.
Yeah.
Let's get me into some more salt.
Yeah, Kyle. Fuck off.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Fuck you, Kyle.
All right. We got another story here, guys. This one comes to us from our friend Justin, and this is a submission on our website.
Nice.
TheHowlingSaltMine.com or HowlingSaltMine.com. We're inconsistent with the. So our website should be that way too.
Have fun paying twice those domain fees.
Yeah. Dude, I was actually listening to the other day, just like randomly listening to our old Magic 30 Vegas episode. And in that episode, you were like, you guys should drop the. And we were like, drop the. Yeah, we should do that. And we never did. And that's something I regret, is being inconsistent about the use of the. But hey, it's a bit now, you know?
Yeah.
We just do it.
There you go.
We just do it. So this one is titled Basalty Monolith, A Salty Confessional.
Love those.
And the story goes. So first of all, I'm a trash blue player who mostly just takes joy in taking game actions during my opponent's turns.
Wait, sorry, did you say who it was?
Yeah, Justin.
Oh, right. Fuck you, Justin.
Tony. So for context, Tony is actually wearing his blue is a trash color for trash player shirt right now.
I will also say, maybe you don't love blue, Tony, but you fucking love taking game actions during your opponent's turns.
Oh, I love that.
That's like your shit. So,
that is my
so
shit.
don't poo-poo our friend Justin too hard here, because you two are kindred spirits, man. This game was with my usual pot of friends. I was playing Yorion Sky Nomad, and my friends were playing Phoenix, God of Deception, Dragon, a shapeshifter build, and Locust God, who flooded and did nothing relevant all game.
Fuck you, fourth player.
Get fucked, fourth player. Mark your bingo cards. The game starts, and Phoenix focuses his mills on Dragon. I have done very little in the game thus far, besides play a Spirited Companion, a Blade Splicer, and some mana rocks, one of which being a Basalt Monolith. With nothing really to do, I often say, in response to any of my friends casting a spell, just to tap my Monolith for 3 so I can use its 3 ability to untap it. I love that. That's a good bit.
Fucking twiddler.
Yeah, just a little twiddle every time.
I do like that.
The Dragon player is getting noticeably upset at seeing all of his best spells getting milled from the Phoenix player.
Yeah.
He goes to combat and asks the table if anyone could kill his 1/1 for him if he attacked them. I said, my 3/3 golem can kill it. He attacks me, and I declare no blocks.
Letter of the law.
And I said, you never made a deal with me. You only asked me if I could kill it, but offered me nothing for it.
Fucking lawyered.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. He is livid. Another 2 turns go by, and he manages to find a way to sack the 1/1 and follows it up with a Masked Vandal, exiling the 1/1 from his graveyard and targeting my Basalt Monolith to then exile it. Not exiling the Phoenix, the commander of the player who had been targeting him all game, but my stupid mana rock that I only used to annoy him. I'm oozing salt and like the saltiest baby there ever was. I respond, I tap my Monolith, I untap my Monolith, I tap my Monolith, and on I twiddle my Monolith with the Vandal trigger on the stack, threatening to do this all night, forcing everyone else to go home, game ending in a draw. They all happily let me and choose to use this time for snacks and bathroom breaks.
Fucking play it out.
They're like, cool, yeah, do it. I gotta pee. Defeated, I finally allow the trigger to resolve and place my salty Monolith in exile. Several turn cycles later, I find myself 1 mana shy of my winning infinite blink mill combo, and then the Dragon player won. Thanks for the time. Love the podcast, and stay salty.
Oh, I love that.
That's a good one, dude. That's a good one.
I love the idea of just twiddling your Monolith.
Yeah, just a little one.
Just sitting here twiddling your Monolith, you know?
And just do it to take an annoying enough game action that doesn't change the board state at all, that someone is like, I'm going to use fucking removal on that.
Yeah. Fuck you. That's beautiful.
Not the thing that's fucking up my board. I'm killing that. You got to stop twiddling that.
I wish I knew like exactly how long he twiddled here before conceding to
it's like, all right, I'm going to go take a break. You keep twiddling.
Do you think he kept tapping on tapping while people were... Yeah, he's filibustering the stack.
Oh, if he didn't
just
tap
kept doing
it and
while
untap
people
it
were
every
leaving?
time physically, like then
Yeah.
I no longer respect this. But like as long as he was physically tapping it and untapping it every
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
That's one of those
I'm
things
here
where you
for
get
it.
somebody who like will build like a little like battery powered like servo contraption that just taps it and untaps it for you.
Like the thing that just shakes your mouse a little bit
Yeah,
so people
exactly.
think you're at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the back of that sleeve isn't scuffed as fuck from the friction
Yeah.
of tapping and untapping it, then I don't even want to, I won't do it. I would concede. I wouldn't even let him do it.
Yeah.
Not to put my like judge hat on.
I was about to put mine on, so put yours on.
Yeah. I mean, like, so technically he couldn't do that.
Yeah.
If it was like any sort of sanctioned event, like you would get a delay of game and be eliminated.
That's why it's
that is
casual, baby. That's why it's fucking casual.
You can't
when
just
you're with
stall
your
the game
pod,
out.
you can do whatever the fuck
Right,
you want.
exactly.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you're
I'll
right.
fucking put Basalt Monolith in every deck that I play from now on.
Well, isn't it Mesmeric Orb is a Basalt Monolith combo? Mesmeric Orb is whenever something
'cause you
untaps,
mill everybody?
you mill one.
You know what?
yourself.
I'm gonna have to.
You
fucking
mill
do
yourself.
now.
You mill yourself.
So
one.
I would mill
But you'd
myself.
be as long as
I-
you're ahead, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, everyone does a mill. You
Yeah,
just
not
mill
everyone.
when
You mill
untap.
yourself.
So you,
But you can fill your
Oh,
yard.
yeah,
you
yeah,
can do
yeah.
that. Like you can put a Thassa's Oracle down and with the trigger on the stack, be like, and I twiddle my
So
monolith.
are we talking
and
about
mill,
some
mill,
like
mill,
new
mill,
dope,
mill.
like mono blue CDH tech? Is that what this is?
I mean, I don't know if it's dope, but or
It's pretty
new,
dope.
but it's
pretty dope.
tech.
Yeah.
It is tech for sure.
I like it.
Yeah,
would
I
be
mean,
where your
maybe
brain
you
goes.
can. Oh man, it could work in like a shimmer mirror deck or something where you're like dropping artifacts in on the stack for free, so you don't have anything out and people don't even notice.
Yeah.
No, I still think it would be kind of ass, but it would be funny. The meme would be amazing if you got a win with that.
Yeah.
That would be very respectable.
I like it. Somebody do the deck tech, please.
Especially if Justin fucking builds this and it's like, oh, you don't like Monolith? This is my win con now.
But yeah, in general, right, there are rules that say you have to advance the game state
Yeah.
after a certain point. You can't just take loops that do nothing.
I mean, one
Also-
could argue that did something because it was pissing off, the Ear Dragon.
Yeah, I don't know if
game
is that game state?
That is
Yeah.
game state.
Is
my mind, that's
opponent
game
is
state.
opponent temperament and
attitude,
mental
yeah.
state part of the game state? It could be. It definitely could be, especially in Commander. It's such a social format.
yeah.
But yeah, there are rules where basically like there's a few. One is you have to you can't delay a game, so
Yep.
you can't just do that. Period. And then the other one is that if you have a loop, which clearly this is a loop, you specifically say the number of iterations for the loop, and then the loop stops. So you like demonstrate the loop, you call it out, and then you're like, shit is gonna happen, we're doing this thing, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like I think there's a tendency with a lot of players, even a lot of CDH players, and we do this all the time too, where you say, well, I have infinite mana, and then I do this thing.
Right.
And you actually
You
can't.
don't.
You do have to say a specific number. That's
It's like we played
Yeah.
earlier, and I was like, I do the Ancestral Statue Animar, and
Yeah.
I'm going to make it a 5,000
Yep.
specifically.
yeah, you just make it like some ridiculous number,
Yeah.
69,420.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good one.
Boomtown.
The other thing to talk about this post I really like is the not a deal, the lawyer,
Yeah,
the
oh, yes,
specifically
dude.
lawyer deal
Yes,
right at the
dude.
beginning of like, I could kill that creature.
Yeah.
I have a 3/3, I could kill it, and then it's, okay, I'll attack you. Cool.
I kind of forgot about that. I was so hung up on the awesome twiddling. But yeah, there was already like a bit of salt going on, and then you twiddle and just continue to annoy this person. Yeah, I mean, dude, fucking, we say it all the time. You got to state your deals, man.
Like a contract, right?
Yeah,
like
it has to be a
you have
contract.
to put your lawyer hat on. You have to say explicitly, here are the terms. Here are
Yeah.
what is the glossary of terms that we're using?
Yeah.
What does it mean when you say you can deal damage to it? Yeah, you have to be. Yeah, we're very much that way. We will play to the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law.
Oh, yeah.
It's
You need
because
to.
I feel like we like build it as we go. Like you'll say one thing, and then you just keep adding to it and adding to it as you're thinking, and you're like, well, how are they going to try and fuck me with
To
this?
build
And
a
they-
deal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
by the time you get the deal, it's like a full-on contract. It's like, all right, hang on, let me pull this back up and review and read it through. Like, this is what's happening, right? Okay.
I mean, that
are we
is
cool? Are we
legitimately
cool?
what lawyers do. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
how
what
could I be fucked by this?
Exactly. That's what we have to do. You have
Right.
to be like, how many turns? 2 turns? Well, and what is 2 turns? Is it 2 turn rotations
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
now? 2 of your turns? You know?
2 players ahead of us, like.
But it's funny because like this is also such a innocuous deal. Like if this person was like, I'm gonna do this thing to get rid of Phoenix, like I have a way to make us all stop milling, I am sure that Justin would be like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it. But you don't know what the person is gonna do. What
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
do,
Well,
man?
He's
there's
supposed to do
that,
that.
but also, right? Like, I feel like Justin was very much like
little
just
bit of
a
a troll.
little gremlin going on.
Yeah, a little
I'm
salt,
gonna,
yeah.
yeah, okay.
The little lizard gif going.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah, a little dickling, a little crusty
A little
dickling,
crusty
actually.
dickling.
Rusty dickling.
Perfect.
So what do we think about the Sol rating here on this one?
I mean,
I'll answer it. It's a fucking sugar break.
Yeah.
It's a fucking sugar break, folks.
it's hard to say
Oh.
because it's such an enjoyable story. Like I don't even, it's just fantastic, man. I love the tale. I don't don't know if that mic is on.
It's not. So we should pause for
Let's
a
pause.
second.
Let's pause and
And
get Zach.
get him and see if he can add you.
5 minutes later.
Wow, what a surprise. Look who just walked into the recording booth.
Look who just got breached. Yeah.
Well, we're answering the question that we asked earlier. Is Mike going to make it to the flight, or is he going to stay for the Mox
making
Diamond?
it to the flight.
Making it to the flight.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Pour one out.
That means
Yep.
I got my flight buddy. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We didn't tell
One
any.
Piece.
Yeah, we play a lot of
God.
One Piece, dude. We didn't tell any stories about like the show yet.
Oh, nice.
Or about
Or
like
the
the
con.
Yeah, we're
convention.
saving
So
those.
we'll save that.
Yeah.
But just as a teaser, Mike and I had a fucking hell of a
We had a
time
wild ride.
getting to Salt Lake City.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we will say that in detail when we get there. Mike, we have a salty story. We're about to hit the salt rating.
I want to hear about it. Oh, you're about to hit the salt
We're about
rating?
to hit the salt rating.
Okay, you guys do one, and then I'm gonna give one as well with
Yeah.
no context.
Would you
Yeah,
like
give a-
to?
give
Would
a
you like a
blind.
little?
I don't want
No.
it.
Okay,
I,
okay.
want,
Blind
I
one.
just want to
Okay.
hear your salt ratings, and then I'll give one that's good too.
Ask us the question. Say the line, Tony.
I said the line already, but like I say, what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
Oh yeah, we were talking about how it's a sugar.
Yeah.
It's a sugar.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit of a sugar break.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that if I was Justin, I would be salty. I think sometimes when you're just doing like a bit of a joke at the table and somebody like kind of derails the game to like mess with you. Granted, I don't know. It's kind of warranted because of like
They were
the
derailing the
letter to the
game.
law,
Yeah.
and you're derailing the game. Yeah. It's sort of like a toddler asking like, "But why?" over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, "But why?" And you're like, "Well, because of this." "But why?" "Well, because of this." "But why?" And you're like, "All right." Like at a certain point, you got to stop. You know, you're just like
Yeah.
poking everybody, being like, so you know, sometimes you get your monolith ganked.
Yep.
Mike, what do you think about this salty story?
You know-
you heard the whole story too, so you know
I
the
did
full
hear the whole
context and
thing.
everything.
Yeah.
But like Monolith, salty. Monolith's on board, salty situation. High salt. High salt for me.
Wow. No context.
Yeah, I just saw a lot of cannons. So
Oh,
salty.
today?
Monolith on board, salty.
Yep, I feel you.
That's fair.
Well, shall we mosey on to another one, guys?
Let's
hell
do
yeah.
it.
One last one.
Got a third post here. This one comes to us from our friend Not Wes. And this one is also submitted through our lovely website. And the message goes, "Greetings, fellow miners of salt. I'm a relatively new listener and love the podcast, though I can never listen to the final countdown the same way again." Yeah, I
I
can't
don't know what
either.
that song is. Our opening intro is completely original. Not based on anything
It is
else.
bespoke. I wrote
But
it.
I'm glad that it's had an impact on them.
Curious, I looked you guys up and couldn't stop myself from binging the podcast start to finish. It must be something about Sam's silky voice.
Oh,
God.
gross. Sam,
Pop
you're
that
not
ego
supposed
balloon.
to add like random things in
Go
there.
pop a
Only
balloon,
what
bro.
they
It might
actually
also
send
be
you.
something about Sam's beautiful face. It keeps going.
Keeps going. It's like,
Strong arms,
Loving embrace.
embrace, his copious amounts of chest hair,
His indigestion and bowel issues.
his constant bum problems. I figured you guys might enjoy my salty confessional from my work pod.
Ooh.
To set the scene, it was a 5-man
Oops.
upper mid power game in the final couple innings. I was playing a modified Kotori Pilot Prodigy precon helmed by Shorikai Genesis Engine. Love it. Player 2, we'll call them Mac, is running an Akiri Lineslinger Bruce Tarl Boorish Herder equipment deck. Player 3, we'll call them Bobbert. Oh, love it. You come up with some good names, dude. This is, I read ahead. Okay. Bobbert is playing a Chatterfang tokens deck. And what player 4 and 5 are playing doesn't matter because they were already dead by this point.
Correct.
So get fucked, player 4 and 5.
Yes. Let's go, Tyler.
say the line, Bart.
It's late in the game, and we're all hurting for health at this point, and everyone has a decent board state. Akiri and Bruce are on the battlefield, and between artifact lands and equipment, Akiri is a 7/4 with flying and hexproof and has 13 commander damage on me with Akiri, none yet on Bobbert. Chatterfang is out and has amassed about a dozen squirrels, enough to take out Mac with numbers, but not enough to kill me in one turn. I've got Shorikai, Kotori, 3 pilot tokens, and about as many vehicles, notably nothing with flying, so Akiri can swing right in. On Mac's 2-pass turns, I've been asking him to announce when he's moving to combat, holding up the 6+ mana for a play I've had cooking. And since Shorikai was drawing me sweet FA. What does this say?
Fat ass.
And
Sweet-
since
sweet fucking
Shorakai was
action.
drawing me sweet fucking action, yeah, sweet
fat.
fellatio authority.
Yeah, sweet fellatio authority. Yeah.
That's a Tony one. That's
Flatulent artistry.
Yeah. Sweet fart auctions.
Yeah, sweet fart auctions, dude. We have fun, guys. We're some silly guys. I opened an email. Whoops. It rolls into Mac's turn, and he does the math. Crunches the numbers. The squirrels are going to stop him if he doesn't gain life, and I'm dead on the next swing of Akiri and Bruce. Any other play with his completely unwarranted and unfair assessment of blue being the color of degenerates rightfully doesn't trust me enough to leave me alive and gaining life with Katori. I remind him to announce his phase changes, and he looks me in the eye and says that he is moving to combat. Man, nothing telegraphs your shit like being let me know when you go to combat.
For real.
And yet you have to.
You kind of have to. Yeah.
You do, but
Especially
it is
in a casual game.
That thing is, not to derail us real quick, but like that is such a obvious move,
Yeah,
and like
like,
I
I'm
feel like
gonna
people
do
just are like,
something,
and then I'm gonna attack.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to get ingrained.
See,
It's
the
like
thing,
you gotta call it.
the other thing you can do though is just assume that that's a shortcut for that means I want to go to combat and say,
Yeah.
okay, in response to moving to combat. Like you just have to do that mini rewind.
Yeah.
And you can get away with that and not telegraphing it. But if you have someone that's really gonna like stickler you at that point, and be like, well, I've already did combat. That's just like
I've already declared my
that's just a
attacks.
separate issue.
Well, but then it's on them because they missed.
Yeah, because they
I agree.
didn't
cleanly
declare phases. It's true.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Where the fuck was I? Oh, yeah. He looks me in the eyes as he says he's moving to combat. I tap one of my pre-sorted piles of lands and cast Dispatch, exiling Bruce Tarl with Metalcraft. It bumps back into main phase 1, and he recasts Bruce Tarl. I can't help but smile as I tap the rest of my mana and slap down an access denied. I could see the silent salt beginning to boil on his face as his face starts turning into a tomato red. And here's where the confessional comes in. I'll admit, having held onto this 1-2 punch for my opening hand and finally getting to play it on such a pivotal turn, I got a bit too excited. You fool! I got you! Get fucked! I've been holding on to that since my first 7!
Love it.
The rest of the table was howling as Mac, in his endless patience, swallowed his salt, gave a chuckle, and said, "Yep, good play." Now, with a handful of Thopters to block in the air, Akiri couldn't connect. I went on to KO Mac next turn and outslug the squirrels over the next 2 turns. I know gloating isn't very sportsmanlike, but we're all very good friends in the pod, and no hard feelings were had. We both stomped and been stomped enough for anything to happen in game to not carry further into the next immediate game. My question to you all, have you ever had a play so good an opponent couldn't help but laugh through their own salt? Love the podcast, and I'm looking forward to more. With love, Not Wes. Sweet. Oh, wow. They put all of the Scribefall links in for literally every single
What a
card.
champion.
Access Denied is a 5-mana instant, costs 3 and 2 blue, counter target spell, create X 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying, where X is the spell's mana value. That came in that Shorakai precon. That's pretty spicy. I think everybody knows everything else. that we
Dispatch
talked
might be the
about
only
here.
other one with the Metalcraft, but
Yeah, Dispatch is
like 1 and a white for Path of Exile effect, but it taps unless you have Metalcraft, and then it exiles.
yeah, it's
too.
tap target creature for 1 white instant. If you have Metalcraft, which is 3 or more artifacts, you exile it instead. So if you're in an artifact heavy deck,
Yep.
you
It's
run
basically
it.
It's an
another
extra
path,
path.
yeah.
It's a third
with
path,
no
but
downside.
no
too.
downside,
Yeah.
which is pretty sick. So, what do you guys think about this one?
It's a fun one. I mean, like, I don't know.
It seems like good-natured
Good.
salt.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I'm glad they're all friends though, because like when it started with like these are some work buddies, that's like it's a little scary. Like,
Yeah.
do you
And then
pull
my
this
boss
shit? I was
fired
gonna say,
me.
do you pull this shit if it's your boss? I don't.
Yeah. I will demote you if you swing.
Do you guys ever play with any work buddies at any point? I played
Yeah.
It's
I
been
did
a while,
one-
but I
I
had
did one
it's
time.
been a
Wow. I do board games sometimes with. Oh my God! Should we talk about this real quick?
Tony did not know that song.
Yeah. So we
The
found
truth
out this
came out.
weekend
The truth came out
that
this
Tony.
weekend.
We sent this meme. There's this meme going around that's like that's basically the thing that we've had in our show, which is when someone hears the word "It's been a while" and they just can't stop singing that song in their head. We sent it to the group chat. Tony finally listened to it with audio. because if I haven't said this before, Tony uses Instagram and looks at reels with no audio and thinks it's really weird when they are supposed to have audio.
I don't think it's weird. I just don't generally listen to
Dude,
them.
you did. I posted something for Howling Salt Mine a long time ago, and you were like, is it better without the audio? And I was like, no. What the fuck are you talking about? It's
We're
a
an
video.
audio podcast.
absolutely
Yeah,
not.
it's not better without. He's like, do you think people listen to it, though? It's like, yes. That's how Instagram works now. It's not, we still have images, but anyways. So Tony revealed that he doesn't know that song.
Well, yeah. So like the song, I turned on the audio and I listened to it and I was like, oh, that's not the song I thought it was.
I want to know what song you thought it was.
I don't think I even know what song I thought it was. But yeah,
back to the story a little bit. I don't know. I've played with coworkers one time, and what was the question in the story there? Have you ever just had such goofy salt that you've like had to over celebrate basically?
Now, have you ever had a play so good that an opponent couldn't help but laugh through their own salt?
Yeah.
I feel like once a fucking game night with our pod, this
Yeah.
fucking happens where somebody like crushes somebody and it's just like the other three laugh.
Yeah. Sometimes the wins are so epic
Yeah.
that it's just like, it's amazing. I can't remember, but I think I had there was this one game I think we played with Brett where I had like a deflecting SWAT win or something, and like, I don't know. I just remember that there was this thing, and Nick got knocked out, and Nick was like, I fucking respect that.
Yeah.
Win. That was dope as hell.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I still won, but it felt cool.
It's also like a function of both like the how epic the play is as well as how chill the group is. Because
Yeah.
like some groups, no matter how you win, someone's gonna be grumpy. It doesn't matter if it's the coolest little interaction.
Yeah.
So there's like once you get those levels right though, if either of those factors are high enough, like you can definitely have an enjoyable time while you're losing still.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm trying to think if we had any games like that this weekend where
think,
the
like, I
win
would
was
say
just so epic.
The one last night with the 5 Blightsteals was like not quite that because it didn't end up working, but it was definitely like we were just in funny business mode at that point.
Yeah,
That was really funny. So the pod
Also,
was
2 a.m. We're running on fucking Steam.
and especially with the night where we were like, I was like, I'm gonna go to bed early tonight, and then
we
we got
fucking
back and we were
didn't.
like, one more game, and I played Gyruda. Nick was on Serdan. Tony was on
Frodo.
The Frodo. Which Frodo is that? Sauron's Bane.
Sauron's Bane.
And Mike was on a precon. Mike
Yep.
was on the fairy precon, the new one.
Yep.
So at some point we do a Serdan vote, and no one votes for Nick. And
No, but the context was that you guys all looked at each other and said, somebody should vote for Nick.
no,
Yep,
Tony
vote for
looks
Nick.
at me because Nick has a grip of cards. He's got a wrist stick out. He's just been drawing a fuck ton of cards.
And with Serdan, if you don't get any votes, you get to dump a permanent.
Right.
yeah. So Serdan is a voting card. I don't know if we've talked about it before. It's one of Dick's.
Dicks.
It's one of this most
Dick's
recent decks.
Dick's new decks. It's one of Nick's new decks, and it's one of the Lord of the Rings precon commanders. And basically, he has this thing where he ETBs or attacks. Everybody votes.
ESTB.
Mike.
Surgeon General.
Tangent on a tangent.
Attorneys General.
Just did.
We will get there and put a pin in that. So, Serdan has this thing where you all vote, and you vote for a player in rotation. Secretly. And if you get a vote, you get a draw card for every vote that you get. And if you don't get a vote, you put a permanent from your hand into play.
Right.
So Nick's deck is mostly feels like the illusion of group hug, but then he just has fucking spicy chonkers in his hand, and inevitably he won't get voted for it. He just drops it out, and it's like, okay, the game has changed.
Here's the
Yeah, but again, I looked at Sam in the eye and I was like, someone needs to vote for Nick. And he and I both knew
I
that
said
neither of
yes.
us were gonna. Yeah,
I said
So it's
yes.
like, yes.
I said
someone
yes.
does.
Someone should vote for Nick.
Yeah, and neither of us voted for it. We both
Yeah.
just selfishly were like, we want to draw cards.
Yeah, I wanted to draw a fucking card, man.
To go back to the previous post about, the letter of the law
Yeah,
and
with
deal
the-
making, it's like, yes, I could vote for Nick.
There was no deal. It was just a statement. And as soon as I responded, I saw this look from Tony, and I was like, Nick's not getting a vote this time.
Yeah, he's definitely dumping out a permanent.
So Nick dumps out a Blightsteel Colossus, and we're like, okay, the game has changed heavily.
Yeah.
And then Nick has a Mirage Mirror out. So effectively, when he untaps on his next turn, he's going to have 2 Blightsteels.
Which is better than one Blightsteel.
Yeah.
Not to go too in depth, but then the next sequence is I play
Yeah.
the One Ring, get
And-
protection from everything.
And you had your
and
own
I
Mirage
have my
Mirror.
own Mirage
Yes.
Mirror.
So you also have a Blightsteel.
Yep.
Then it goes to Mike's turn. Mike,
I pass.
nothing
but
yet. Then it goes to my turn. I go to cast bringing a creature back from my yard, and
Yeah.
Mike, you
That
respond
wasn't-
with
Right. I respond with something that when a non-token creature enters, I get to make a token
Yeah,
copy.
theoretical
Yeah.
deduplication.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I also get a
So
clone.
I bring my clone in, and I kind of hem and haw, like, do I bring the clone in? And then we sort of talk about it, and we're like, you know what blocks a Blightsteel Colossus really well? a
Blightsteel
second
Colossus.
Blightsteel Colossus. So I get one, you get a Colossus. Now there's 5 theoretical Colossus. There's basically 5 on board. And we pass turn. I think, Nick, you bounce my Colossus or something. You just you get to your turn, you just remove it. And you come in double Colossus at me. Because I had some defense to make it so it wasn't a full 10 poison. But you were just like, fucking, it's time, double down. It's 2 a.m. Like, we were tired.
But the other part was that I couldn't hit Tony because he had
He was
protection
on
for
one
everything.
ring, yeah.
And then there was something else where I couldn't do anything to Mike.
Well,
or Mike had the blight.
Mike still had
Blightsteel.
the Colossus, yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically had to just kind of one-shot
Pick
somebody.
one.
But
So
then
you
I died
removed
on the crack
mine,
back.
came in with a double attack and hit me. Then it went to Tony's turn. Tony,
I was tapped out. Tony turned
put
his
a
into
sword.
Yeah, he
on
put a sword
my-
on it so it couldn't be blocked. Swung at Nick. Then it went to Mike, and Mike
swung
I
at
don't know what
me with a
happened.
Blightsteel, but I pathed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had some cheeky stuff to try and
Bounce
bounce
the board.
everything, but
Yeah.
then I just lost on
Yeah,
that.
and then
and then it was
Tony won.
140,
Wait,
and I was
yeah,
like, I'm
actually-
gonna scoop because I'm on a precon and you're on a deck
Yeah,
with
and then Nick
all
said
of
the classic
swords in
line,
it.
"Congrats, you beat a precon."
Yeah, because Tony was gloating at that point.
Yeah,
We had to put him in his fucking place. Tony
man.
with his $1,500 full borderless
Yeah, full
Frodo
foil.
deck.
Just blingy, boys. It's just blingy.
Man, with
you
all
beat
the
a fucking
swords.
precon.
It was so funny. So I think that's our example from this weekend of
Yeah.
a victory that we were all just like, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
It was ridiculous. And Blight's still typically a very salty card, and to have 5 of them on board, it was just a treat.
Yeah.
Hey, it's way more fair that way.
Yeah, when everyone has a
When
Blight
everybody
Steel.
gets a Blightsteel,
Yeah.
nobody has
Yeah,
a Blightsteel.
But then you
hashtag
have two
incredible.
Blights, though.
Hashtag Incredibles. Oh man. Well,
It eased to be.
Okay.
It eased
One more
TB.
tangent.
It eased TB. When you say a creature enters the battlefield, you say it enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
You don't say it enter the battlefields. So you shouldn't say that it ETBs.
But
You should say that it E's TB.
I think that's so
but
stupid.
the enters is not a plural, right? You're not carrying the plural into the acronym.
Right,
So it
then-
doesn't make sense.
Well, then you should
enters
just know.
is the word,
Sure.
not enter apostrophe S.
I'm
so
saying
there's no S on E's TB. It's
that's
just
fair.
ETB.
Then we should only say that's. You know what? That's a
That's
really
very
good point.
interesting.
So
We
we
didn't
should
talk
just
about
say
that.
that it ETB.
that
Y'all
it's
are dumb.
ETB.
The literal
ETB.
entire Magic community says ETB. So
no,
we're not
I
going to
know.
change it
I'm
here.
not dumb. I agree.
It ETB.
I agree.
It be ETB.
Yeah. I play Serdan at ETB, and we vote.
Oh, that's so horrible.
I got Nick. My goal for the weekend was convince one person.
he
succeeded.
he got
He convinced
you.
me.
I
That's
did
true.
my good
Yeah,
speech
that's true.
on it.
Ease
Yeah, your
TB.
play was
We can
speech.
all agree Ease TB.
Yeah, I'm
is
down
terrible.
to down to drop ETB because that was mostly a meme in the first place. But now I'm stuck on ETB.
I was saying, Mike, if if there's something that's entering the battlefield,
It's
you say it's
eing.
eing TB.
It's eing.
TB. But yeah, Nick really just schooled us with some drop some knowledge on us.
Yeah,
with
some
acronyms.
hashtag grammar.
Yeah,
Grammarification.
that's how acronyms work.
Well, should we circle back to the post?
Oh yeah.
We're like three
we should
tangents
probably
deep
do
right now.
salt rating for this one.
yeah, what do we think about the salt rating here on this one?
It's not super salty to me. I
Lightly
dig it.
salted.
Yeah, it's very lightly salting. I think gloating has a time and a place.
Yeah.
And I think if you really dunk on, especially like a good friend, fucking gloat. But if I'm playing with randos and they gloat a lot, there's a moment where I'm sort of like, okay, that's enough.
I'd agree. It's almost like it's like kind of part of the game to like do the gloating
Yeah.
and like have everybody like shit on you a little bit when
Yeah.
it's within your pod. But then like, and that just happens over time. Eventually get to a point where you all start shitting on each other. It's just like, the
Yeah.
friendly nature of it.
It's like-
Yeah.
But when it's
everyone
randos, it feels weird.
I think there's also we were talking about this a little bit earlier this weekend. Like there's a bit of a line between like gloating and celebrating. If it's targeted a little more as like you're bad and I beat you, haha.
Yeah.
That starts to get really awful. But if it's like, I'm amazing, that's like slightly less painful because that's more of just like celebratory.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're in a play group that like us, that will like that's part of the like
Well,
part
yeah.
of the culture.
Yeah, but
right?
people should not really be basing.
pod culture.
Yeah.
It's like, haha, you're fucking scrub. Get wrecked. Suck it.
Dude, it's been real quick tangent, just another one. It's been so fucking funny this weekend to see other people watching the four of us interact and being like, damn, you guys are salty. And like it's really funny. Like we had a draft that we did that we'll talk about more in our sum up episode. But we were doing this draft and Tony and I were playing in like separate games, just sitting next to each other and just kept like dunking on each other. And at one point I was like, shut the fuck up, Tony, like blah, blah, blah. And our friend Keith Ulu, awesome dude, was like, he's fine. Like was trying to like mediate. And I was like, no, he fucking sucks. Like, you don't get it. It's just, I love that. And so many people have been like, oh, I just like what I'm hearing right now. I'll check out the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to the salt rating a little bit. I think pretty low salt. Like definitely enough. Like the cards are annoying. That's a frustrating situation if you're that Akiri Bruce player. But it's the game itself didn't suffer, which is always kind of
exactly
It's like
sure.
going out to a nice work dinner with your coworkers and you just get a little extra parm on your pasta.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then tell George from accounting to get fucked.
right. And everybody clapped.
Yeah. Everybody claps. Even George himself is like, yeah, you're right.
Hell yeah. Well,
Is it that?
Oh shit.
Is it that time of the week?
I think it is that time of the week, guys.
Is it that time of the week where I show up late for the episode and don't pick up a card and I get to ask Tony?
I'll say, is it the first time ever that,
Yes.
that Mike
It's
actually
my
this
God.
time of the week
No,
where
you
Mike
know
is
what?
here?
There was one other time that the salty card of the week got read and I was here.
Oh yeah.
There was one other one, so
Throw
it's
back
not
to
a
a
record.
legendary time.
But I'll ask Tony, what is the salty card of the week?
Thanks, Mike. So
I'm growing even saltier with you. The grudge that I will hold on to. I'm not quitting until you make me move. Your bullshit deck I will play through.
that was pretty
That
good.
was requested from
it.
Rothbox. Hanging by a Moment by Lifehouse. There's more lyrics. He came up with a bunch. I'm just unprepared.
Yeah.
But man, it's good. It's really good. Maybe
We'll
I'll
just have to
record
maybe
a
a
full
full
one.
cut.
Full
full
one,
cut,
stick it
get that
in the
like
boobs.
release in the
Thanks,
All right.
Rothbox. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for that lovely, marvelous introduction.
You're welcome.
The salty card of the week this week
Hey,
is...
you're welcome, dude. Thanks for
Sam.
thanking me.
Oh, yeah, I got you, babe. The salty card of the week this week is Thieves Auction.
Oh.
4 colorless.
More like D's
red,
Auction.
red. My fucking God. For sorcery from 8th edition, set aside all cards in play. Starting with you, each player chooses one of the cards set aside and puts it into play, tapped under his or her control. Repeat this process until all those cards have been chosen.
Oh. Interesting.
So, Mike, how does this make you feel?
I kind of like it. As someone that has played some Zedru in my day, like I've looked at cards like this.
Yeah. That's
I
some
think
spicy Zedru tech.
it's
It
really
is.
nice for Zedru. It's one of those cards where like it's just a little bit less chaotic than a lot of the other things like this, like Warp World or Scrambleverse, like all those different ones. So like the pattern of everybody choosing it, and you get the juiciest card, and then you get the 4th nicest card too, and then you get the 8th nicest card. So it's kind of cool, and I like it, and I think it is actually to me one of those few games where a mini game like that is kind of fun, but it does mean that there's a whole mini game, and I can imagine people getting frustrated just with the time of resolving stuff like this.
Definitely.
Because if there's 30 permanents on the board, you now have to go around and assign each of those permanents one at a time, and that takes forever. It's awful.
Yeah.
Does it hit lands also?
Yep. Cards
yeah,
in play.
all permanents.
Yeah.
There's an interesting metagame to that, right? Which is like to some extent, you're probably just drafting your stuff back for the most part.
You're drafting the best things, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
but you could also like power fuck somebody by just drafting all of the lands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
but
if there's combo pieces, you can draft one of them and leave
Right,
the other
and break
one.
it.
yeah, the thing is, like, you need to make that first draft the most impactful. So if you
Right.
start to go for lands, other people are going to be like, sweet, I get like the big chonkers, and I'll just already have a board state. I don't
Right.
need the lands. You know what I mean?
Depends on, yeah, I mean, it depends on the board state when it happened, right? Like,
Yeah.
if this was just kind of like mid-game and everybody's got some stuff but nothing like super potent, then just like, hey, I'm going to steal the majority of the lands and everybody's on 2 and I'm on 10.
Well, it is 7 mana, so I doubt it's happening mid-game.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also
Like, it's
then
probably late.
they have board states because they've taken like creatures and enchantments, and you just have lands.
Depends on the deck, though, right? You could still have full grip of like spells and stuff.
That's
I don't
true.
know.
I mean,
don't
I guess it's possible. There's definitely like a corner case situation for that.
Yeah.
Well, here, let's keep this.
Keep it rolling.
Yeah. So,
I think
so
it's
Nick,
mid salt. That's my take.
don't-
Depends on the permanent count. Scales
Yeah.
directly with the count of permanents on the board.
Yeah, I don't think it's salty at all. I think it's a 7-mana spell, which is like the biggest dividing thing to me. Is like you're never gonna see this, and it seems fun
Yeah.
to like resolve it and like think through how to do it correctly. It seems pretty interesting. So I don't have any salt for it.
This is mid salt for me. I think it really depends on the setting, the decks, and what the board state is when this gets cast. If someone has like fucking 50 tokens, that's going to be annoying. But you could probably shortcut some shit. But anyways, I think that just how it resolves and the board state it goes into. But also, if you're doing this over fucking webcam, do
Yeah,
not.
no,
Like,
this
that's
is
the
definitely
thing.
an in-person card.
These cards, like in the age of webcam magic, which many people, that is their only way they play, these cards are really hard to resolve.
Yeah.
Because what are you doing? Like just making an infinite token whenever you get a card that you don't own? Or, even trying to do something in Moxfield, it's still complicated to try to sort that.
Even seeing the pool of what cards are available to draft at this point for Thieves Auction is really painful on webcam magic.
Yeah.
Because you have to be like, okay, what's everyone got available to pick at this point?
And then you're like setting it into individual piles on your own
Yeah.
board and being like, this person has this person has that. Let's sort the board. Yeah. I think if you're doing this, it could be really fun in person. And if you're doing it on webcam, I would scoop.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like if you are playing a deck that runs it, you probably have like an alternate that you swap in for the situations where you're playing over webcam. or
Yeah,
something
like don't
that.
torture
Like
your
Warp
friends.
World, honestly, where
Yeah.
something where it's just going to flip stuff
Yeah.
out of your own library and not torture everybody.
Definitely.
exactly.
If you want this kind of effect and you don't want to have that sorting, Warp World is perfect. And honestly, if you are building a deck that leverages this, it's actually interesting. I feel like Thieves Auction and Warp World want different board
They
states.
do. They apply differently. In Thieves, you're looking to have nothing, and everyone else have a bunch of stuff, and you
And you
come out on
equalize
top.
it, yeah.
Whereas with Warp World, you want to be really ahead and then flip into ridiculous shit off
Yeah.
of your flip. So they do have different uses.
It's kind of cool.
But
It's a cool
Thieves
spell.
is really cool.
Mercadian Masks, baby.
hell yeah. I think the.
Oh, yeah. How do you feel, Tony? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, fuck you. I'll talk to it now since nobody asked me and I'm upset about it. But
Nobody
it's fine.
asked you.
All right.
Patrice.
Welcome to the life, man.
Yeah, well-
Sometimes you just got to start throwing your opinion out there, and then people will get mad at you for not waiting to be asked.
Yeah, this guy Tony is particularly surly about that shit.
Yeah.
But I think really you touched on it the most, Sam. Like in person, for me, I'd be like, this is so fucking fun. Like I don't think it would really be that bad to resolve because usually it'll go quick. Like you literally just physically pick up the things you do. On webcam, this would drive me fucking
it's
insane.
Yeah.
It's
And I
borderline
would get
unplayable.
I'd be like,
if there was a separate webcam ban list, this would get banned.
Yes, 100%.
yeah, for sure.
I actually think it's like interesting. Like, I feel like Torment of Hailfire is easier and quicker or slower to resolve than this is, right? Because Torment of Hailfire, you kind of have to wait to see what the other person's decision
Yeah,
was
you
in
have
terms
to,
of
really
like
think
Yeah.
about it.
discarding, sacking, or taking the life
And
loss.
this is like, what's the best thing? I'm taking it.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
now what's the next
Yeah,
best
it's pretty
thing? I'm
quick.
taking it. And you just like fucking do that over and
It
over
does seem
again.
fun.
Yeah. So, where do
Tony,
y'all?
where does it sit on the list?
Great question, Sam. Love that you asked. Thanks, babe.
You're welcome.
If I could wink, I would wink at you right now.
You can't
you
wink.
can't wink.
Not like
Give us a wink.
it's not like sexy.
Give us
It's
one.
just like I can't.
Let the
I'm
record show it was bad.
It was a
Yeah.
blank.
Yeah.
Let the
Yeah,
record
really
show
did.
it was a blank.
It
Both
was
eyes
a-
closed.
Yeah, imagine a
Well,
a
first like
twitchy
the
blink.
twitchy side, and then the other side
Yeah.
closed too. So it's like, yeah. Let's start with you, Nick.
Ooh.
What do you think this
Put
lies
me
on the
spot.
list?
It's got to be pretty low. You guys already did 69. Nice. Can't do
Nice. Yep.
that one. So I'm gonna say 80.
80. I think people don't like chaos. I'm going to say it's 67.
Michael.
A little bit more than a Crater Hoof.
Michael might know the
I'm
list.
consulting my photographic memory of the list. No,
We're still on old list real quick, right?
Yeah,
We're still on old list.
This is where the truth comes out that I actually pretty much always figure out what the salty card is 10 seconds before I'm asked.
Yeah.
What it is. So I do not have a good knowledge of the list. But yeah, I honestly, I kind of think Sam. This is on the list, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So then I think it's like a
little
curveball from Tony. I think it's probably like 50.
50.
Nice. So 50, 60,
67.
80.
Mike takes it.
What is
Wow.
It is 46.
it? 46.
You were pretty close.
Word.
Yeah, that's
Nice,
right on the
dude.
spot.
Yeah. Upper
Yeah.
50. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
just bisect 100. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it turns out binary search systems are pretty efficient.
I wouldn't expect it to be in the upper 50, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, Mike's first and only win.
Well,
It'll
that's
never
it.
happen.
Yeah.
It's like a goalie score, right? They
Yeah.
just- they
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
happen.
exactly.
I just booted
Only been
it.
12 in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for the salty card of the week.
Thank you, Tony, for the salty card, and thank you to our listeners, specifically our Salt Pack Plus tier listeners that get a shout out at the end of every episode. If you want your shout out here, well, you can do it. The power's in your hands. And we're shouting out Rothbox, Snoranges, Adam Jeff, and Bo Fett.
What?
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you guys.
Fucking big appreciate for all that shit.
Big ups.
And thank you to the rest of our prospectors out there for tuning into another episode of the Howling Salt Mine podcast. We hope you guys dug this podcast. This is our first time being in a recording area that someone else has created for us. Feels pretty cool.
Yeah, shout out to MTG Summit for setting this up.
Yeah, huge shout out to Kingdoms TV for having just a banger recording setup, having the infrastructure here for us, inviting us to the convention. I mean, it's just been a fantastic time.
It's been a blast.
And as you guys will hear about in our future episode where we run it all down, it's just been fucking dope. And this experience, recording and being able to stare lovingly into Tony's eyes the entire time has been great.
That is what Sam was doing the
Yeah.
whole time.
Can't
Honestly,
confirm.
for
Like most of it.
for a lot of it,
Yeah.
it was because our mics are pointed at each
Mine
other.
is angled and couldn't really turn. So I was like, if I wanted to talk to Nick, I had to look at him.
Yeah.
And then turn back to respond. It felt weird, but
Yeah. But we hope you guys dig it. We wanted to do a classic episode in this environment just to rip
Test it out, have fun.
and test it out and have a little fun time. And thanks, Mike, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for waiting for me to get bopped in my turn.
Yeah, to get breached, to
Yep.
get your cheeks clapped.
Yep.
Feels good.
Yep.
If you guys want more Howling Salt Mine content, if you want to check out our Patreon content, it is at patreon.com/Howling Salt Mine. We have extra salt episodes that are coming out every week. We have, oh no, that's not true. We have Stray Grains episodes that are coming out every week. Those are all the tangents that could cut from our main episode. We give them all to the patrons. We have our extra salt episode coming out every month where we break away from our typical format, do deck techs, Q&A, joke about it, times we made each other salty, shit like that. It's a good time. We also have some higher tiers now with our Patreon. As you heard, we've been shouting out people on the show. If you want to be a part of that, you can check it out. I'm also drawing custom tokens for people, and we have a monthly token club where you'll get some of our designed tokens, all designed and drawn by me and printed and then mailed to you. So if you want that monthly mail, if you want to get a little bit more Howling Salt Mine merch, that is something to check out. It's something that we offer now. If you want other merch, we have Dragon Shield sleeves in our store. The numbers are getting pretty low on those. If you haven't got them, check them out. And we also have Bonfire merchandise. Just added a bunch of new designs up there. I'm not sure if the original logo shirt is still up there, but you can definitely get the 1-800 Are You Flapping, the Howling Wizard Salty Gang shirt, and of course, Blue's a trash color for trash players and our classic logo. What else do I say here? If you have a salty story that you want talked about on a future episode, submit it through our website, email it to us at thehowlingsaltmine@gmail.com, or DM it to us on any platform, and we'll eventually get it into the queue, and you will probably eventually hear it on the show, unless it's bad. Then we're not going to do it. The next thing you can do that helps out the show is give us a 5-star rating in your favorite podcast app of choice. That really does help us. I know I say this every single week, and you're probably sick of me hearing it, but too bad. I'm going to keep saying it because it is true that it helps us stick out in the algorithm. People can find us in the wilds through that. And honestly, it's pretty cool to see how our podcast measures up against some of the really big ones. And those 5-star reviews really do help. They help push us up into that higher tier and help grow the Howling Saltmine family. And lastly, we got to shout them out every single time. Our amazing podcast artist, JD Burnett, for our beautiful, beautiful podcast art. If you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, hit him up and get a tattoo. He's a really cool guy.
10,000 subscribers or bust.
10,000 subscribers or bust, indeed. That's it.
Sweet.
Well, that's all, folks.
That's a that's all, folks. Stay salty and don't forget to draw an additional card during your draw step.
It's the Howling Saltmine. The Howling Saltmine.
Our amazing technical person, Zach. Folks, give it up at home. If you're at home, if you're in the car, just stop whatever you're doing, clap with both hands. Especially if you're in the car. Stop what you're doing, clap with both hands.
Clap with both. What?
And stomp your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stomp your feet into the pedals. I can sit back.
Make it clap. Hashtag make it clap for Zach. Whoops. That's your name. It wasn't the one I said earlier. It's not Wes. Let me just get a clean one and I'll edit it in earlier. Not Wes. Tony, that was a lovely salty card. And thank you to our salt pack, our saltier packer tier. Is that the one? And thank you to our saltier packer tier. No, it's not that. What is it? Salt Pack Plus, right?
Ease TB.
Ean to being.
Ean to bean. I'm going to ean to bean. Whenever I'm sitting down to a big plate of Bush's baked beans, I always say, I'm going to ean to bean. And then I take a big mouthful.
And then after, when you're kind of like groaning from all the beans you ate, oh, I eat to bean
I'm going to
too
bean
much.
To bean. Sam put this at the front of the episode, and Mike, don't talk because you weren't here canonically. Before we get into it, no!